Special guest on today's show, John Chapman of 49ers Rush, joining us. We're breaking down our guys, Team Peacock, Team Croc, and Team Chapman, our favorite players, and maybe some guys we're not as into for the San Francisco 49ers in the 2025 NFL Draft right now.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you as always at PD Peacock at Crocky209. Thank you so much, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Love our everydayers. We appreciate you hanging out with us, getting ready for the draft. We'll be getting ready for the 2025 season every single day. It's what we do. If you're new to the program, welcome. Subscribe on YouTube or wherever you are listening to this podcast. And today's episode, a very special guest I will introduce momentarily. First, I want to let you all know that we are brought to you today by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. Mr. John Chapman, find him on Twitter at JL_Chapman, 49ers Rush podcast. We're going to talk a little bit later at the end of the show, John, about your 49ers draft party that's happening at Broadway Studios in San Francisco, I believe Thursday and Friday night of the draft, right? And I believe Peacock might be making an appearance at this draft party, and it'll be a whole lot of fun. Unless the 49ers do something weird and trade around and we can't get out of our studio situation. And so we'll see what happens. But I plan on going there and having a beverage, watching the draft with my guy Chapman, with some 49ers fans, and hanging out. It should be a whole lot of fun. Diamondor Lenore is going to be at your draft party too, right?
That's correct. Yeah, the Hyena is going to be there making an appearance, which is going to be fun.
Nice. So we'll give you more details on that a little bit later. Let's talk NFL draft, though, right now. And, John, I'm going to put you on blast to start this episode. I'm going to come at you. I need you to defend your position because you tweeted this out the other day. You said, if the San Francisco 49ers stay at pick number 11, I think there are only a few players worth that value that have a chance to be there. And I agree with that first statement. You said there's 3 offensive tackles, Membo, Campbell, and Banks. And you also said Mike Green, Jahdae Barron, James Pierce. Outside of those players, I think they should trade back, but they need a partner. So this is like a sandwich situation here for me. The bread of this tweet, I like it. The meat of it, I do not like. I agree that it's going to be maybe a little bit weird, and the players that are easy, you say, yep, I'm going to take Mason Graham at 11 if he's there, Membo, Campbell. Those make sense. I'm with you on that. And at the end, outside of the meat of those players being there for you at number 11, trading back would be nice. You need a partner. Totally agree there. But as far as Banks, Mike Green, Jahdae Barron, and James Pierce go, I think only one of those players for me, John, would be as a player, as tape, I want to draft this guy based on the tape and what player he could be. Mike Green's the only one I agree with, but he's got something very serious off the field that probably has to be removed from the draft board for me. So in that case, I would feel not good at all about drafting Banks, Green for the reason I just mentioned, Jahdae Barron, or James Pierce at pick number 11. So first, before we get to Croc's guys, before we get to my guys, it sounds like those are your guys, right? For the San Francisco 49ers. And if there's any other names, you can talk about that. But talk about why you like those guys, first of all, for the San Francisco 49ers. Because I just feel like it would be like, man, that's what you took at pick 11. I would be disappointed by those names.
I would say this draft, there's not the quality blue chippers that you're going to find at 11 most drafts. Like the strength of this draft, I think, is 3rd round, maybe early 4th. But you got to pick 11. And everybody's trying to, quote unquote, trade back and, pick up more value, whatever else. And if you're stuck there, somebody's going to be the 11th pick. And so with these players that I mentioned, it kind of 2 things were very important. 1, positional value, defensive ends, offensive tackles, corner, very, very valuable positions. And 2, they all fit what the Niners do. And so you talked about Banks. Well, I think he's the best offensive tackle in space. I think that he ran the closest thing to Shanahan's scheme in college at Texas. So the experience, the upside, I think that all of that is there. I know a lot of people are out on Banks because of that Georgia game, and I understand that. But he's a clean profile. It's a clean transition, and it's a huge need. A lot of people lower on James Pierce, and I understand that, but that speed, edge rusher, the D Ford mode off the edge, he has that in spades. And I don't think that he's a negative run defender. I know people look at his size profile. He's great at reading blocks. Now, is he, a character guy, hard work guy, whatever else? I'm not meeting with this player, so I'm going off of the film. And then Mike Green, as you talked about, I think that he should be the pick. But again, all the off the field stuff, the Niners have spoken with him twice. They had their position coach him at the Senior Bowl. If they're cool with it, then that's where that is. But, whenever you look at the other players that are here, and, whether that's, Will Johnson or whomever else, I just don't see that matching the value. And it's not like I'm super high on all these players, but I just think they're perfect fits. They run similar scheme. And I think in this draft, I would not be upset if they were the pick at 11. Ideally, you got to trade back. I just don't know if that possibility is going to be on the table.
Croc, is John being a Texas homer with Banks and Jahdae Barron being on that list?
I think there are a lot of people that are high on Banks. Matter of fact, in the only mock draft I've done so far on our show, I did take Banks for the 49ers.
Yeah, we were in that same position where the easy picks were gone, and you got to make a decision. And it's like, man, you can find a defensive lineman in round 2, round 3. Probably not going to find an offensive tackle in round 2. And that's kind of the idea of it. But to me, again, I don't feel great about it, and you're forcing it. And I understand the pick, but I just feel like Banks is not in that. He's just a little bit out of that top tier of tackles for me. And you mentioned the Georgia game. One of my guys would be Mykel Williams, who looked really good against Banks in that game. And I'll talk about my guys a little bit more in a second. Croc is what I want to talk about Barron as well here. I guess let's just finish up this segment talking about your guys, John, first. Barron, to me, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills on Barron. So, like, how are you going to draft a guy who's got like 200 career snaps in man coverage on the outside at cornerback? How are you going to draft that player in the top 10? And he's like, everyone loves him. And I get why everyone loves him. Like, there is some strengths to his game. It's like, he's a nickel all day. I'm not drafting a nickel there. I'm not drafting a zone corner there. I'm just not, period. If he's a safety or a nickel, that's cool. Let's talk about him at 43. That's where I'm at on Jahdae Barron.
Also, I think the issue with drafting him as a nickel is you have a terrific nickel with Diamador Lenoir. So, if there's any position that you're drafting, and again, love Diamador Lenoir, love his versatility as well. I just, we talked about this off air. The nickel position, or star position, as some people call it, it's just so valuable to a defense. And we're starting to see guys get paid as such for a job that's hard. Like, you don't have the sideline as an extra defender. Guys have two-way goals. You're involved in run game. You have to run fit. You have to blitz. And then you have to be able to cover. Some guys are bigger. Some guys are shifty. It's such a difficult, I'd say probably the most difficult position to play on defense. So if you have a stud that is there, you want to kind of value that and have him play there. And I think that's what Diamador Lenoir is. So if the 49ers were to take Barron, they would be taking him as an outside cornerback. And the film that we watched, it's not that he can't do it. It's just that did anything jump out to me that he does it at such a high level that you take him at 11? And that's where I would say.
If you're gonna pass on Cooper DeJean at 31, you're gonna take Jahdae Barron at 11. Like, that doesn't add up to me either.
But the injury, right? So, like, that was the thing with Cooper DeJean, right? Like, he had the medical red flag at the combine, and I think that's a big reason why I failed. Part of the reason why I'm so high on Jahdae Barron is just because it's clean. It's a clean profile. It's a clean player. He's got the versatility, and he's built like Renardo Green. Like, you took Renardo Green last year, who you tried at nickel first, and then you moved to outside, and he found his home. Well, Jahdae Barron won the Thorpe Award playing outside corner full time. And they didn't ask him to play man, and that is the issue. But that's this draft, is every single player's got this, but outside of the top 3 guys, it's buts all up and down the board. But I do think that he fits. I don't know, man. I think it's a clean fit, but I understand the nickel thing. I think the 49ers want these type of versatile guys at the cornerback position, and the 4.3 speed, how aggressive he is in the run game. I think he can play outside. Nickel might be best for him, and Demo's got that locked down, no doubt about it. But in a draft full of so many major questions, the big question here is he just hasn't played a lot of man coverage.
Would you even
I think that there are a lot of buts for sure. And it is difficult to draft at pick 11. I think the 49ers are in a tough spot there. I would take the but at a position that may be a little bit more difficult to maneuver around, right? Like just an edge rusher. You talked about Mykel Williams. There's some buts with him as well. But the value of that position and what he brings is just higher than an outside corner. Like I can maneuver around not having an outside corner and say, well, we like this guy, whatever. We have a good pass rush. We can simulate some blitzes and we can do some different things to where we can, I don't want to say hide a guy, but if you don't have a shutdown guy, you're all right. 49ers need a lot of help up front. And even with the buts with guys like Mykel Williams and some of these other guys as well, the Mike Greens and them. It's like, well, I can still work with this part of their game. And I really like that. And I think that's very impactful.
A lot of buts in this draft, which is why everyone's like, hey, trade down. It's like, okay, well, who's trading up? I don't know who's trading up. I don't think it's going to happen. So you might have to stick and pick. Let's figure it out with Team Croc next. Croc, who are your guys you like for the San Francisco 49ers? We'll talk about some of mine as well and get more info from John Chapman about the 49ers Rush draft party that's happening as well in San Francisco on both Thursday and Friday of the NFL draft next. This episode of Locked On 49ers is brought to you by Gametime, and there's nothing like the atmosphere of a playoff game. NBA playoffs are rolling right now. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Gametime, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Gametime makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. And I've done it many times, getting some last-minute tickets with phenomenal deals, whether it's a baseball game, a basketball game, a concert. You can find concert tickets, theater events, comedy shows, and, of course, all of your sporting events at Gametime. And if you're ever going to plan to buy some tickets for something, you just got to have it in your pocket, have Gametime ready to go. You got to check Gametime before you buy any tickets. And take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Croc. 2025 NFL Draft. Pick 11. You can give us some sleepers if you want to. Who are your guys? Do you have it? Because I want to hear some Chapman sleepers as well. Who are your guys right now for the San Francisco 49ers? I know there's some buts, so and there's some cleaner prospects. Who's your favorite for the Niners at 11 right now?
Who favorite at 11? That's tough. I'll just talk about who my favorite prospects are. And I'm going to start with a guy that probably has the biggest but I know this because if it were me, I'd have a hard time not taking this guy here. And that's Josh Simmons. And he's an offensive tackle. All right. And again, we'll talk about some D-line guys I love. And we talked about kind of the philosophy of building in the trenches, where the 49ers roster is. They need a lot of help defensively getting some starters. But, man, if Josh Simmons didn't have the injury, he'd be a top 5 pick. Mm-hmm. Like, it's that simple. Like, his film is so good. And he can move, and he was athletic, and he was getting space, and he handled bull rushes well. Like, it is hard to find those type of tackles. And the reason why he would be available is because, hey, man, I got this injury, and it hasn't been kind to 49er players that have suffered the same injury. You don't know how he's going to recover from it. But just if you're just talking about the player in the film, it was really good, and I loved every bit of it. So, again, the biggest but if the 49ers picked him at 11, I would probably say, man, the injury, but, man, look at this film. All right, I kind of flipped that, but when it comes to him. So that's probably one of my favorite prospects. Outside of him, you look at guys like Mykel Williams, and this is a big guy. I talked about just going through the 49ers depth chart and what it looks like defensively. They are missing a lot of starters. And the 49er fan base had this huge expectations for this team year in and year out. And it is hard to have those same lofty expectations when you look at where this defensive depth chart is right now, even when you kind of take a peek at the offensive side and look at guys that are coming off of injuries, guys that are getting older. Are they going to be perform at the same level in which they've done or what we've known them to do? So you look at the defensive line, and I'm not excited about seeing Bosa and the rotational guys. Like, that should be their nickname, Bosa and rotation guys.
Yeah.
You need some stout guys, a guy that's going to be a long-term guy there. And I think Mykel Williams brings some of what made the 49ers defense really good in the past with guys like Charles Omenihu, with guys like Arden Key, guys being able to play outside, do some inside stuff as well. So I guess he would be one of my but guys. And I don't even know what the but part is with him. He's not the fastest of guys, but he's a big, strong, sound, and talked about being a clean prospect. I think he's pretty clean as well. And then I'd say the last guy is probably Mike Green, and he has another big but because of some off-field stuff. But if we're just talking about on the field and what they bring to the 49ers, those are three guys right there that, which I'll prioritize by, if I'm just saying positional value, love Simmons, but just how I would draft them if the draft were tomorrow, I would have Mykel Williams, Green, Simmons.
I think we're 3 for 3 on Green as far as the talent, just like he's a true pass rusher. Love the wrestling background. He plays stronger than his 6'3", 250 size. He's like watered downhill, getting after the quarterback. He's got speed moves. He'll show you some speed to power. If the first move doesn't work, he's got a counter ready to go, and it's just move after move. It doesn't look segmented. It's so natural, and that stuff translates to the NFL, and you see him do it against Ohio State, right? So it's not just that he was beating up on competition at Marshall either. So, but then again,
6'8", 5'3" cone. I mean, like, that's elite for a receiver or defensive back.
The testing matches too. Yeah, the ridiculous 3 cone, which is a hallmark of great pass rushers. So I love that. But then, it's not just one incident either. It's 2 incidents, different schools, different years. That's tough for me, man. And so if it's clean, and it's the same as Simmons, man, you got this big red flag. With Simmons, it's the injury thing. And it's either like he's clean, turn in the card, or you take him off the board, right? It's not like, oh, we'll take him 2 picks later. It's like you either take him or you don't with both of those guys. So very interesting prospects. I agree with you, man. A clean. I will say with Simmons, the competition wasn't good. I would love to see him play, some of those games later in the year, because he got hurt in his first good competition game against Oregon in like the first quarter. So you kind of go back to 2023, look at him against better competition, because they had some cupcakes at Ohio State to start the year. But man, he's just smooth as a left tackle. And so I agree with you there, Croc. But then again, it's tough with the red flags, and you don't really have the full information there. And then we get to the guy that that's grown on me is Mykel Williams. We've talked about him a little bit, Croc. And when you start adding up the buts, he just checks the most boxes for me. I love that there's so many guys in this class that didn't run a 40. And I love that he threw down a 40. It wasn't 4.5 or anything like that. It's 4.7s, 4.77, 4.78, as it was reported. I think Brugler's got him at 4.77 in the Beast. At 6'5", 267 pounds, which is what he was at his pro day when he ran 4.77. That's pretty darn athletic. And he's got the height, weight, speed, length profile. He's a prototype player, so you check those boxes. You don't have to say, he's short-armed. He's not athletic enough. He's not big enough to be an every-down player. Got to take him off the field on blank downs. He doesn't have any of that. He doesn't have any character stuff that you're worried about. And he's got both a high floor as a run defender, and he's got a high ceiling, I think, as a pass rusher. So for me, Mykel Williams just starts to check a lot of boxes for the San Francisco 49ers at pick 11, which is why that's where I kind of land right now, because he's got the fewest buts, and I like a floor and a ceiling that you can see with him. And I could really see how he could take off as a pass rusher. And you look at his height, weight, speed stuff, and yeah, he doesn't run the 4.47 like James Pierce does, but at his size and what he could be as an edge defender, and his length, and the fact that his height, weight, speed matches up with Aldon Smith. And I think Jason Pierre-Paul was the comp in Dane Brugler's Beast. These guys don't grow on trees. And so you don't have to worry about a rotational player. You don't have to worry about character stuff. He just checks a lot of boxes for me. And then when you start to watch him, you go. I went back to him. I'm like, God, I could see it. There's some explosive. He can close on the quarterback, and he can stop the run. And I think he's going to get better end than he was with that weird 4-eye that they were asking him to play a lot at Georgia too. So that's why and look, I'm trading up for Mykel Williams, but at 11, I just feel more comfortable with him than a lot of the prospects there. I want some sleepers from you, John, and maybe some prospects you are lower on, and feel free to rip us. I started this podcast just crushing you. And,
I love it.
Bring on an esteemed guest like John Chapman, and then I railroaded the hell out of him to start this podcast. So feel free to come at us and let us know where we're wrong on some of these prospects and get a little deeper in the draft. I've got another guy that I know Croc loves that is probably a day 2 guy in this draft I want to talk about as well. Next. This episode of Locked On 49ers presented by LinkedIn and LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner, your work does not end when the clock hits 5, and your business is always on your mind, which means when it's time to hire, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates all in one place if it was just that simple for teams in the NFL draft. LinkedIn's new feature can help you write job descriptions, quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's a pro tip. You add the job to the hashtag hiring frame of your profile picture to double your reach to qualified candidates at LinkedIn. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find high-quality hires. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, John, we talked about some of the options at pick number 11. Let's say the 49ers move back in the first round, move up from round 2, maybe some of your favorite players in round 2, and even some deep sleepers. Drop it on us. Like, what beyond pick 11, how could this draft go great for the 49ers, in your opinion?
If I can map out any situation for the 49ers, it would be a trade back situation from 11 and get one of the defensive tackles. I'm a lot lower on everybody not named Mason Graham, but my defensive tackle, too, is Derek Skinny Ankles Harmon. Like, I would absolutely love a fallback and land him in the 20s, which I think is where him, Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, all 3 of those guys, you could, if you're not a Derek Harmon truther, that's cool. Plug in one of those names. I don't care. As long as you can address the defensive line, which I think is the biggest priority on this team for sure, in any way, shape, or form in that first round, I think it's going to be a great pick. Outside of probably Shamar Stewart's the only one where I would be like, but even if you could trade back and land him, I'd be okay with it. I don't think he's the great fit, but I love Derek Harmon. I just really believe in the pass rush potential, the amount of pressures, the tackle for losses, just the havoc rate that he has brought to everybody. And, you know, there's a couple clips going around where he went against Landon Jackson. Landon Jackson handled him, but not the entire game. Yeah, you could post a couple clips and it's like, oh my gosh, this guy can't play in the NFL. But keep watching that game, and the next time they played him as well, he definitely held his own. So I think Derek Harmon fits a huge need, and probably my favorite player in this draft is a probably 3rd-round target corner. I'm curious what Croc thinks on him, and that's Jacob Parrish out of Kansas State. I just love this dude. Now, 5'10", 191, but he does have 31-plus inch arms. I think he's the best tackling defensive back in this draft. The versatility, he played the demo role at Kansas State where he was outside, and then whenever they go nickel, they bumped him down. And I think, you know, the 4.35 speed, I think he can play outside. And I think this is kind of the, you know, going back with my Jahdae Barron take, I think they want these versatile guys that can play inside, outside. Will he be there at 75? I think that's a legitimate question, but those are just 2 players that I think are perfect fits and would kind of bring immediate value and start kind of day one for this 49ers team, whether that's cornerback 3 or defensive tackle 1 or 2, wherever you put them in the rotation.
I would probably put Walter Nolan. I know you're a Harmon guy. I would put Walter Nolan over him. And in fact, I'd probably put Walter Nolan in that group of players with Mykel Williams. Is like, okay, you got a gun to my head. You got to draft somebody 11. Walter Nolan, I just think the talent is there. And if you feel good about the off-field stuff, then Walter Nolan would be my guy there. At pick 11 as the defensive tackle if Mason Graham's not on the board. Croc, Jacob Parrish. I mean, the thing about like guys like Parrish for me and some of it's not a great cornerback class overall, but give me Parrish in round 3 over Jahdae Barron in round 1, right? And that's how I kind of look at these things. Like, okay, give me Tyleik Williams in round 2 over Kenneth Grant in round 1, right? There's almost like a and then, okay, can't get those guys. Okay, round 3, there's CJ West. And then it starts going down the board. When you start looking at defensive ends, though, it's like, if you don't get one in round 1, that position, even though there's a lot of them, this draft, you know what takes me off about this draft? It's so deep. But teams that run that 3-4 defense are like, oh, sweet, man. I've never seen so many nose tackles and stand-up rushers in my life. But the teams that run like a 4-man front, it's a little bit less deep at some of those positions, and you find some real kind of oddball fits. Croc, I know you have a favorite sleeper in the day 2 area, and he's actually getting mocked in day 3, early day 3 in a lot of places. Drop your sleeper on us, and if you have any thoughts on Jacob Parrish or any other mid-round corners, let us know.
Well, I posted my quote-unquote sleeper, and the 49er fan base, I mean, they pushed back big time. And not for any other reason than
they've been hurt, Croc.
His name.
They've been hurt deeply by not him.
But somebody with his same name.
Yeah.
You know what? I like to say this. Hey, guys, it's not the name, it's the jersey number. All right, it's probably the number 10. So as long as this guy, Kyle Williams, does not get number 10, I think you guys will be all right. All right. I think he's just, if we're talking about a day 2 prospect, especially probably kind of late day 2, that's what they're saying. I don't know where he's going to go, but I know I watched the film. I said, damn, this guy does a lot of good things. Now, some of the concerns that are popping up are kind of his route running. And that is something kind of with the air raid offense. They're kind of getting to spots and they don't run like a traditional route tree a lot of times. But if you're just going off of ability, like what does this guy have to bring? Like, especially if you're watching him in a workout. I think this was something with Scary Terry. All right, Terry McLaurin, when he was coming out of Ohio State, there was so much mesh and cross. And it's like, well, can he run any damn routes? And I think maybe even the NFL is a little confused on that. But I did have a buddy of mine who was at his pro day, and I don't even know why my buddy was at the pro day, but he was at the pro day, and he said, oh, best route runner in his class. Like, that was what he was saying. So some of these guys that maybe don't run routes in a traditional offense, but you get to see them work out, and maybe Kyle Williams is one of those guys. That's something that could bump him up because he ran a 4.4 flat. He has decent size, like he's kind of similar to Brandon Ayuk when he was coming out. Decently explosive and did all those things, but you watch him on film, he's one of those yak bro type guys, and he's catching the ball well. The contested catch aspect of it, not as great, but kind of makes up for it with explosive ability. He's twitchy. He has a lot of really good habits with what he does after he catches the ball, finding soft spots in zones. There were so many things that I felt like just jumped out and was really good. Releases off the line, guys not touching them, understands how to stack defensive backs and get vertical. There was just so many things I did good. And I'm like, man, I really like this guy. Now, with the 49ers, do they just need him? I'd say, probably not. But they're talking as if they don't know what they're going to do from year to year with Brandon Ayuk. And they drafted a guy, Jacob Cowing, who they didn't really utilize offensively. Do they see him as maybe only a specialist, or does he end up growing and having a potential bigger role? So in my eyes, it's like, well, you got one more year with Juwan Jennings, unless they extend him, which very well could happen. You have Ricky Pearsall. Let's continue to, grow with him. But is there someone else that can maybe potentially come in? And we know with the 49ers, first year, you're probably not going to have a huge year offensively if you're a receiver. Can you prepare for the future a little bit? Can you prepare for next year when you may not have Juwan Jennings, when you may not have Brandon Ayuk, but you will have Ricky Pearsall? And I think looking at a guy like Kyle Williams, he's someone that can definitely fit that role. Just don't put him in number 10, and he'll be all right.
Yeah, just don't wear number 10. Right. Yeah. Does Mac Jones already have it? Good.
I think they posted it. I don't know if it's official, but I haven't bought my Mac Jones.
Mac Jones is the perfect number 10 for this football team. Keep it there. I feel the same way about Luther Burden. People are talking about, he might not be that good of a route runner. What are you talking about, dude? Draft it. Like, if the Niners didn't draft Pearsall last year, it'd be like, just Burden at 11. Let's go. Be done with it. Because dude's a stud. And like, there's some off-field stuff. There's something with everybody. That's what's crazy. So Luther Burden, I would buy it at 11. He might be there at 43 with the way things are looking for him. Walter Nolan, same story. It could be 11 or 43. James Pierce could be there at 43. I think didn't Kuiper and Phil Yates just have Pierce fall to 43 to them in their latest mock draft or something like that? So it's like, I don't know what to, Mike Green, Josh Simmons, their red flags they could be at 11. They could be on the board for the Niners at 43. This draft is going to be wild, man. We're going to have to buckle up when we're at the 49ers Rush draft party. John, can you tell my listeners, and I'm sure we got a lot of crossover listeners that listen to 49ers Rush all the time and listen to San Francisco 49ers podcasts galore and Locked On 49ers daily. But tell my listeners where they can find you in the 49ers Rush party. Let us know what's going on. Give us the deets.
Yeah, 49ersrushroadtrip.com. That's the website. Tickets are up for day 1 and day 2. It's only $20. Kids get in free with the ticketed adult. And so, yeah, we're going to be there. Doors open 1 hour before the draft, both days. We're at Broadway Studios over in the North Beach area. It's going to be an absolute blast. We're doing trivia, 49ers draft panels, meet and greet with Diamador Lenore on day 1. Day 2 is going to be for the hardcore draftniks, where we'll be broadcasting there live for all of day 2 and all the 49ers picks. But it's going to be a blast. Hopefully, Peacock comes out. Man, Crocker, it's been too long since we did a shot together, my friend. Way too long. But anyway, yeah, hopefully you guys can come out, 49ersrushroadtrip.com, and man, be with the faithful for the draft and just have a great time. That's all we're trying to do.
I'm planning on being there, man. I'm going to be there, and we're going to work out the details. Maybe Peacock both will be there in person at Broadway Studios in San Francisco Thursday night, first round of the NFL draft. John, always a pleasure. Always love talking ball with you, and look forward to seeing you next Thursday night.
Love it, man. Appreciate you guys and all you do for the community, man.
Thank you.
And thanks, everybody, for making this your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure you are subbed up to 49ers Rush and, of course, Locked On 49ers on YouTube and everywhere you listen to your podcast. Croc and I back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.